Hello to everyone. Today we are hosting at the Greek think tank, International Institute of Strategy, Mr. Shay Gal. Mr. Shay Gal is a senior strategic advisor and analyst specializing in international security, defense policy, geopolitical crisis management, and strategic communications. So, Mr. Shay Gal, thank you, and we're welcome to our think tank.
Thank you.
So, my first question. Your recent article entitled North Cyprus is also a problem for Israel, the newspaper Israel Hayom, in which you refer to a scenario of liberation of the Turkish-occupied northern Cyprus through the cooperation of Israel, Cyprus and Greece, caused positive reactions in Greece and tremendous concern in Turkey. Can Greece, Cyprus and Israel liberate Cyprus? Tell us a few words about this article.
Actually, I wrote to expose what the international community has not known yet prefer to forget. The occupation of northern Cyprus is not a frozen dispute, but Turkish unsinkable aircraft carrier, a forward base of Bayraktar and Akini drones from Lefkoniko, Atamka missiles, threatening shipping lanes and gas platform, and SIGINT's arrays along the Crimea Ridge that turn Israel and Cyprus into a glass house. Casinos, universities, and ports are no longer neutral infrastructure that serve corruption, finance Hamas, and enable Iranian network to penetrate deep into Europe. This is not only a threat to Israel or to Greece and Cyprus. It's an open wound inside NATO and the European Union, a direct challenge to European security and credibility. Poseidon Wrath is not a call for war, but a message of capability and alliance, and it has already proved itself. Turkey tremble, its media erupt, and Ersin Tatar, the puppet president of the North, was forced onto live television to calm his public. A 50-page report by the National Intelligence Academy of MIT analyzed the scenario in details. When a concept born an Israeli article became required reading in Ankara's intelligence community, deterrence had already moved from words to war rooms.
Could strained relations between Israel and Turkey could lead in an armed conflict?
Well, when Erdogan prays for Allah to destroy Zionist Israel, this is no longer a mere statement. It's a declaration of intent. Ankara is building a nuclear reactor at Akuyo, developing missiles and fighter aircraft, and continues to claim that this is a project for peace. Iran said the same in the past, and its action exposed the truth. Here too, it's not wars that will be judged, but deeds. The Nagel Committee already warned in January 2025 that Turkey is becoming a real threat, even more severe than the Iranian threat, because of its entrenchment in Syria, the deployment of advanced system, and its explosion of the shield provided by NATO membership. Turkey is also the open patron of Hamas, a terrorist organization that commits massacres, takes hostages, and fire rockets at Israeli cities. A state that hosts terrorists is not immune from Israeli military action. This is a simple truth that Israel has demonstrated in the past and will demonstrate again if necessary.
Your last article about NATO's Article 5 revealed some very interesting details. Could you explain why NATO cannot serve as Turkey's shield in the event of an attack from Israel?
Article 5 of NATO is not a blank check. It has been invoked only once in history after September 11, and even then only by consensus, with every ally deciding its own responses. For Turkey, there is no guarantee. Actually, Article 6 extends protection to territory, ships, and aircraft, but the decision of what constitutes an armed attack is always political. And here Turkey fails. NATO defined Hamas as a terrorist threat. The European Union has imposed sanctions while Ankara hosts Hamas leader in Istanbul. A state that shelters terrorists cannot demand collective defense. If Israel strikes Hamas infrastructure on Turkish soil, not on soil, NATO will not fight to defend Hamas. The same is true in the occupied territory in Cyprus, which is not which is recognized by the UN and, of course, by EU as occupied territory. And if an action will be revealed to liberate northern Cyprus, also NATO will not involve, but because then every EU, which also a NATO ally, will break the Lisbon Treaty, the Article 42.7, which is comparable to NATO Article 5. But NATO Article 5 is political. The Article 42.7 of the Lisbon is obligatory.
Is Israel concerned about Trump-Erdogan relations? Will Israel block the sale of these fighters jets to Turkey?
The United States also arm Iran with stealth fighter? Of course not. So why would they arm Erdogan? Turkey was expelled from F-35 program for purchasing Russian S-400 and undermining NATO security. Since then, it has only deepened the threat, accelerating its nuclear project, testing long-range missiles, mass production indigenous, combat aircraft, all while hosting Hamas leadership and maintaining its illegal occupation in northern Cyprus. States that copy American system and sell them to adversaries, that threatens its neighbors and defies international law, cannot be trusted with the most advanced weapon in the world. This is not trust strategy. It's an appeasement, and history show appeasement never restrains aggression. It's only emboldens them. So let me be clear. This is not only Israel call, but a transatlantic imperative. Congress and the White House must close the door firmly on Ankara. This aircraft must not be delivered. If America arms Erdogan today, it will endanger Kurdish civilian, Greek and Cypriot sovereignty, Mediterranean stability, and ultimately the security of Europe itself. Whoever repeats the mistakes of the past will pay the price, and this time the price will be executed the heart of the Mediterranean.
Thank you. So, we're watching how the flotilla going to Gaza and is being supported by Turkey. In fact, there are reports of Turkish drones accompanying it. So, we're watching also Turkish frigate to support this flotilla. How will Israel handle the case? Also, another question. What stage is the war in Gaza? And also, what is your opinion on the US 21-point plan for ending the Gaza war announced recently? Also, today we have the meeting between Trump and Mr. Netanyahu.
Such enforcement is lawful and effective and may be carried out even in international waters when the objective is to prevent weapons smuggling and terrorist infiltration. Israel delivers thousands of humanitarian trucks into Gaza every day through controlled crossings, yet it is well known that much of this aid is sold or sold on the black market by Hamas itself. By contrast, flotillas are not humanitarian channels, but provocations at best, and at worst attempt to transport weapons and fighters under the grace of aid. And we saw it with Mavi Marmara, and again in June 2025, when the ship carrying Greta Thunberg was intercepted at sea and brought to Ashdod by the Navy. The same will happen now. The ships will be stopped lawfully, inspected, and delivered to an Israeli port. Turkish drones or fighters waving flag do not alter the simple fact that Israel's right to self-defense is absolute, and the law is on our side. Your second question regarding Gaza. Yes. As for the war in Gaza itself, this is not a stage for a ceasefire at any price. Hamas has been struck but not yet disarmed, and close to 50 hostages remain in captivity in Gaza, with around 20 believed to be alive. This is the heart of the matter. The war cannot end before the hostages are returned and the military threat is removed. Israel continues with targeted raids, the elimination of cells and strikes on remaining infrastructure to dismantle what is left of Hamas power. The third one was regarding the 20.
Yes, about yes.
So Israel is fully aware of it. Today, actually, this hour, the Prime Minister Netanyahu meeting with President Trump at the White House to discuss it. The plan combines an exchange of hostages for a ceasefire, fast withdrawal, an international stabilization force, and the new governing mechanism in Gaza that is not Hamas, as well as a conditional political horizon. Any proposal that ensure three principles. First, the return of hostages. Second, the disarmament of Hamas. And third, the full freedom of action for Israel's security is positive and worth of serious discussion. Anything that does not guarantees those three principles will not be accepted.
Is the Iran issue over, or will there be further developments?
The Iranian issue is not over. On June, we struck nuclear facilities, missile sites, and energy infrastructure. The United States joined on June 22nd, and Iran responded with missiles and drones. Since then, Tehran has expanded underground sites such as Pixage Mountain near Natanz, seeking buried nuclear capability, while the UN and Europe have reinstated snapback sanctions. Iran continues to advance in every domain, nuclear missiles, cyber, and proxies, from Lebanon to Yemen, and may discuss its program as civilian. The 12 days war proved that when required, Israel acts within days or even hours from now. As long as Iran possesses nuclear weapons and long-range missiles, Israel jets will return to its skies, and let Ankara take a note. Support for nuclear adventurism, missile proliferation, and terror proxies will bring consequences. Israel will act with vigilance and determination. Doubt our resolve, and you will see not words but deeds.
Recently, you wrote an analysis on how Ankara mass produces news where even tiny errors are copy-pasted untouched. You also revealed a Turkish campaign against you. Can you share with us what happened?
Well, the point is not one error or one article. It's a system. Ankara has created a mechanism where ready-made text, what communication scholars call an informational subsidy, are pushed from the top and flow down to dozens of outlets unchanged. The result is not journalism, but journalism, automatic replication, errors included. I know because I saw the same slip repeated word by word in Oda TV, Haber 7, D-Release, Postasi, and Kibris Talk that is not a considerance but the fingerprint of a single origin. Since July 2025, the presidency director of communication has been headed by Burhaneddin Duran. This body does not only brief, it produces content package for distribution. Once they pass through agencies such as Andulu, DHA, or IHA, editors dare not to change a comma, even a comma, because R2 can impose the massive fines. BIK can cut off state advertising, and the 2022 disinformation law makes critical reporting criminal offensive. This is how messages discipline replaces editorial judgment. There is no editorial judgment in Ankara.
Yeah.
The number makes sense in this context. Reports without borders ranks Turkey 159 out of 180 in the 2025 Press Freedom Index. This is not an abstract statistic, but outcomes of concentrated ownership of the Turkish media. For me, The meaning is simple. Ankara chose not to deny what I wrote, even not single time, because there is no way to disprove facts. Instead, it wrapped them in a framing that suits its own proposes, but in the end, the system revealed itself through the mistakes.
How will Greece, Cyprus, and India, and Israel, of course, could deal with the axis of evil, meaning the alliance between Turkey, Qatar, and Pakistan?
Well, the axis of Turkey, Qatar, and Pakistan is not solidarity, but a mechanism of dependency, instability, and exploitation. Against it stands coalition of democracies, Greece, Cyprus, Israel, and India, four states linking three continents and offering an entirely different order. India's uniqueness is clear. It's a member of BRICS, but yet, unlike Turkey, it does not surrender its sovereignty to an anti-Western bloc. It's built strategic autonomy with open doors, balancing Washington and Brussels, while keeping channels to Moscow and Beijing. They invested in Haifa, investing the IMEC corridor and depending partnership in the Gulf. This is not dependence, but sovereignty. Turkey, by contrast, claimed to speak for the oppressed, while Israeli turns Cyprus into a base, channels Iranian RGIC, funds to the Houthis, enhances itself in Suakin in Sudan and Mogadishu in Somalia, and marks its middle corridor not as a bridge but as an instrument of control. In South Asia, it's aligned with China and Pakistan. CPEC from the northeast, the middle corridor from the northwest, both converging on Islamabad. For India, this is a triple squeeze. Chinese pressure from the east, Turkey and Pakistani leverage from the west, and dual drone supply lines aimed at Kashmir and the Indian Ocean. Our coalition responds on three levels: corridor, not for cooperation, but of sovereignty, with IMEC as a separate and rules-based alternative to BRI, as you wrote, and Turkey corridor, security integrating intelligence, maritime, cyber, and unmanned system to neutralize Turkish and Chinese supply chains in Pakistan. Economy and diplomacy. A Mediterranean partnership with India as a natural gateway to Europe, with Cyprus as an anchoring hub, Greece as a NATO pillar, and Israel as a technological and security power. This coalition is not a reaction to an axis of evil, but the proposal of a new order, a coalition of democracies connecting the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean, understanding that the Indian Ocean begins here in the Eastern Mediterranean. It's not a coalition of dependency, but of sovereignty, not of coercion, but of stability. It already exists and it will endure.
Mr. Gal,
Yes.
I would like to ask you one last question, slightly outside the main context. Recently, Benjamin Netanyahu, in an interview, recognized the genocide of the Greeks, Armenians, and Assyrians by the Turkey. What does this mean for Greece and Israel?
Well, when Prime Minister Netanyahu recognized the genocide perpetrated by the Turks against Armenian, Pontic Greeks, and Assyrians, he placed Israel beside nation crushed under the Ottoman sword. Turkey rage only underscored the act's weight. From his first days as the UN, as an ambassador in the UN, actually in the late 80s, Netanyahu warning against denial to today as prime minister who recognized the circle is closed. It's not rhetoric, believe me, but a foundation of policy. But this must be a cornerstone of foreign policy, also for Jerusalem, both for Jerusalem and Athens. Heirs of nation destroyed yet survived. The duty is clear to lead global recognition of historic genocide and control and confront denial in all of its form. This policy is not only moral memory, but the credibility of international law itself. by trivialization crime written in blood. Leaders like Erdogan weaken law and norms meant to prevent atrocities. Actually, by doing this, we do not guard memory to honor the dead, but we guard it to shame the living who would dare to repeat their crimes.
So, Mr. Shai Gal, thank you.
Thank you.
This discussion, and also it's a big honor for us, as I told before, that you will be a member in the International Institute of Strategy.
And we expect him to another conversation in the future, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure for me.
Thank you, Mr. Shai Gal.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye. Have a good night.